Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. So just as a quick one, do you want to give us a little brief introduction to yourselves?
Yeah, sure. My name is Mike Van Ermen. I'm the VP of Business Development here at FSB. I'm based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Formerly on the operator side, worked for several years over at Circus Sports, helping establish their operations not only in Nevada but Colorado as well. So, not a bookmaker by any stretch of the imagination, but have done all the business operations on the operator side.
My name is Bob Akeret, VP of Operations here at FSB, based out of Atlantic City, New Jersey, born and raised. Been in the industry for, a little over 10 years now. Myself on the operator side with Resorts and Resorts Digital, so a lot of experience on the retail side of things, pre-PASPA. So, where Mike comes from, Nevada, having sports betting. I came from a bit of a different, upbringing. We had, retail casinos, very instrumental when iGaming became approved in New Jersey in 2014. Instrumental in building that team with Resorts Digital on the operations side. And then pre-PASPA, knowing that, or hoping that PASPA would be, overturned, building up a database with a daily fantasy website, actually using the FSB platform, so a bit of experience there, and then into the PASPA boom in New Jersey in 2018.
How did you both become involved with FSB?
So both Bob and I started talking to FSB, I think, Q4 of 2020. And at that point in time, they really hadn't established their foothold in the United States yet. And they were really looking for some industry experience to go ahead and kind of explode their U.S. business. So Bob and I both received some phone calls and went through some lengthy interview process. Not only them interviewing us, but us interviewing them and trying to get aligned with the vision. Both of us being on the operator side of things. It was very, very important to us, for us to jump onto, that side of the counter, if you will, that we were going to be part of a company that shared our vision and that really leveraged our expertise and our passion for quality operator-based software in the United States. So we came on both, I think Bob was November of 2020 and I was December of 2020, and we've been really helping shape the United States strategy ever since.
Yeah, I think, Dave and Sam's vision, they could have entered the market in 2018. And, as a lot of people did, it was speed to market, speed to market, speed to market. And we're seeing a lot of frustrations now. And there's a huge opportunity for the switcher market of operators who are frustrated with their existing technology, promised the world, and under-delivered, really. And us having that previous platform experience, knowing where platforms, excelled and where they, may not have. Dave and Sam really gave us a blank piece of paper, if you will, to enter the U.S., to, give our expertise and say, this is how the platform needs to run, because this is what the end user being the operator, the casino, whoever they are, this is how they're going to interact with it on a daily basis and how they're going to, manifest their own destiny, if you will.
Well, and I think to that point, part of something that I've been very excited about and passionate about that has been really supported by the C team here at FSB is, they understand the differences between the markets, right? That, that the European sportsbook is not the same thing as the American sportsbook. And, we've both been on the other side of, you just need to change your sportsbook to retrofit how our software works. And that is not something that they were necessarily interested in doing. They said, we need local boots on the ground to say, this is how the software needs to work to empower and enable these sportsbook operators who will eventually become customers.
Yeah, and localizing and not just taking an S and putting a Z in there. Actually localizing the product to suit the North American needs.
So something Chris mentioned when I was speaking to him kind of before we did this interview, he has branded you two as the dynamic duo of FSB. Something that he kind of emphasized, and I think you two both definitely touched upon, is your background kind of on the operator side. So, how have your previous roles within the industry kind of shaped your leadership style when it comes to leading FSB across the US?
I think we're just very passionate about this. I think we were both kind of given the reins or the keys to drive our business on the operator side. I mean, at least for me in New Jersey, everything was a greenfield opportunity. It was, you're not coming in and replacing anybody. We're building this business from the ground up, and it's almost we're mirroring that on the B2B side of things where, we knew what all the pitfalls were. At least I knew what the pitfalls were, becoming an operator, and you're passionate. We want to see something succeed. And now it's almost coming full circle where we're now creating this platform to fulfill that need, if you will.
I mean, I think for me personally, the operator background is everything that I draw on in order to have success here in North America and shaping this vision. Just like Bob said, we've both been sold before. We've both been sold on, theoretical functionality that we hope will explode our local operations, and we've both been frustrated with some of the representation on the tech side as operators, and we really took it as a challenge to say we can do better. We can absolutely do better, and we, with our experience, we understand before we go live with anybody, we understand what the potential problems may be. So hopefully, 5 years down the road, all the customers that we go live with in those 5 years, they'll never understand what the problems were pre-2020 or pre-2021 with the industry and sportsbook platforms. So that's really kind of the North Star and the driving light for us.
Yeah, and one of the things that Chris, a great strapline or tagline for FSB now is we're curating the win. We're not taking a product off the shelf. We don't have an infomercial. It's not a 1-800 number where, you're just going to get this, hodgepodge of standard technology. We're sitting on the other side of the table, and we've been in your shoes. What's frustrating you, or if you're new to the market, these are things that you should be looking out for. And take our expertise, take our our experience, and I think that's something that is setting FSB apart from some of the others out there.
So I mean, like, kind of in the news now, we're seeing different companies enter the North American market kind of on a daily basis, the US and Canada kind of most recently. In your opinion, what is it that makes FSB stand out? Is it that experience and the expertise from the team, or do you think it's something else as well?
I think the experience and the expertise of the team is definitely part of it, and I think that it helps accelerate success. But the experience would be nothing without the technology, the engine behind it. The experience is the driver, but the actual engine and the gas pedal is the tech stack that the FSB platform is built upon. I think it's not too bold to say that any customer who is looking for a B2B solution, we can accommodate any different type of style, whether that's an enterprise trading solution, whether that's a fully managed trading solution, whether a company has their own front end, for their website or their mobile app, or they have their own PAM. We are flexible and dynamic enough where, because we are built all on one technology stack or from the ground up on a single code base, there's no, we can't do this. We don't provide this level of support. We don't provide this component of the business. We obviously can provide our version of a PAM and our version of a front end, but somebody else can always come in and say, I love everything that FSB does, but I've already spent a lot of money developing my own front end. I'd like to plug that in, right? Mm-hmm. So no matter who it is, if they are going a B2B route, FSB is a prime candidate for their business.
Yeah, and it's a very modular, flexible, platform where we understand that you're going to want to plug and play and be able to pull levers on your business. And, hey, I really value this KYC provider or this payment provider or this data feed provider, or, in a couple of years, I want to be able to build out a trading team to alleviate some of those data costs. Also, we see sports betting exploding across the US, and this is almost the step into, is iGaming going to be a thing in your state? And, are you going to have to go through a migration to get into iGaming? And it's something, we have all of this under one roof where it's a single back office. It's a single system. It's not these bolted on bonusing engine and trading tools and casino where nothing really talks with each other. Yeah. I think that's one of the things as being an operator is, you learn to live with logging into 10 different systems to do 10 different things and onboarding staff and just that operational, the workload that's involved in that, and being able to log into a single back office and touch all of these different modules is just, very, very efficient.
I think there's another component of that as well is, if you look at the sports betting industry from 2018 to now, right, roughly 4 years since PASPA was formally repealed, and we're coming up on the 4-year anniversary of the first go live. I think it was the summer of 2018. The industry looks completely different. right? So in the summer of 2026, the industry will also look completely different than what it does now. And none of us can exactly tell you what that difference is going to be. The key component with FSB is, you're future-proofing yourself and you're preventing yourself from having to go through a migration. So, if you come on with FSB and you want a fully managed solution today, but eventually you want to own the trading yourself and book games because you have an expertise, industry expertise is growing. There's more trading resources available in the United States. That's something that is a system configuration within the FSB platform. And there's no migration. There's no, massive headache. You have to learn how to go in the back and toggle a few switches, and then you own your trading platform at that time. So, you're not locked into one specific solution for the entirety of your deal. You have the opportunity to grow and carry FSB with you wherever you do grow.
That's something that I've kind of realized, like when working with FSB kind of for the last few years, is you guys have got such a strong legacy kind of in sports, but also in technology. So what role does that play in kind of creating a standout offering? And then kind of following on from that, something that's become very apparent both from talking to you guys and talking to Chris is there's a huge love of sports with the company. It's not just oh, we know what football is, we know what soccer is. There's an actual kind of love and everyone's supporting it. So how does this transcend into the products that you offer?
I think one of the coolest things that I learned, when joining FSB is, FSB has been a team for, years and years now. And when they were such a small and nimble team, having the trading team sitting right next to the developers and saying, oh, this would be amazing. If I could just do this like this, it would make my life so much easier. And I think that's how the platform being built that way in a very small and nimble development team, and understanding how the traders are interacting with it, or how a customer support team is interacting with it. It's almost like you're sitting next to a BA, or somebody that a developer that is just developing for you. And being a former operator, if I could have that person sitting with me and not raise CR after CR after CR, I think that's one of the greatest things that has built this technology to where it is now.
Well, I think, and that's a really critical point, because, while Bob and I do have industry experience in North America, the emphasis that FSB is putting on industry experience did not start with the two of us coming on board. That has been a really important factor of FSB's success to date, and will be a really critical factor of the success moving forward. So, even since inception, technology expertise, sportsbook expertise, people who have worked at sportsbooks internationally have come on board, and like Bob said, saying, I need this is the lever I want to pull, this is the dial I want to twist in order to be the most efficient and the most successful.
Yeah, and a lot of these traders, I mean, this team has been around for, like over 10 years. A lot of these guys, and the team has been there, and they enjoy using those tools. Not only do they have experience in using the system, we're also sports bettors, so we know how things should look. We know what the UI UX as an end user on the front end should look. We know that if I place this bet, what's going to happen on the back end. If I place a limit bet versus a smaller bet, and it's driven by people who are in the industry, not only on the work side, but on the enjoyment side as well.
Well, and that's exactly, it's not a theoretical exercise in what do we think sports bettors will like. We both use a lot of mobile apps. We've both used, I've used every mobile app in Las Vegas and every provider that is in Las Vegas. And there are some that, have features that I really enjoy, and some, I say I shouldn't struggle this hard to putting in a bet. It shouldn't be, an exercise. I shouldn't need a master's degree in IT to place a bet on this mobile app. So, it's taking that type of vision as well. We're talking about the vision from the back end to the vision through the front end, through the user journey. We have that level of expertise to be the experts on it.
Something that you kind of both touched upon in kind of one of the early questions is looking at how the US market boomed over the last few years. And I think something that you said, Mike, was maybe we can't really predict what it's going to look like. But I have to ask you, if you're going to make a prediction of what we're going to expect in the next 5 years, what do you think we're going to see?
I think, the biggest thing for the industry as a whole is the populace in each state is becoming more and more educated. We're seeing it in New Jersey, that was one of the first adopters, post PASPA in terms of full scale regulated sports betting. And we're adding a handful of states every single year that are going live. And there's a learning curve. There's always been a learning curve for operators. There's a learning curve for customers. There's a learning curve for everybody involved. And I think as we come to the end of that learning curve, the little things are going to matter more. The user flows and the nuances that right now people may just, in some states that are brand new, they're just happy to be able to place a bet. In 2 or 3 years, that's not necessarily going to be the case. They're going to be, looking more and more for the details and the finite user experiences. So that's really where we put a focus on in terms of, how we want to set ourselves up to, again, continue to future-proof the platform.
Yeah, I think empowering operators to pull the levers that can, ultimately gain them more revenues. There's going to be a lot of things that they're going to get under the hood with, and giving them the flexibility to do that. But also on the flip side, we're going to see regulators and compliance change and evolve. And I think we've seen that in the European market and the UK market. I think there's a lot of things that the UKGC has put into place that we're going to see, transition here to North America. And having a platform where those things aren't hard coded in, and you can actually go in and configure reality checks and responsible gaming tools and things like that are really going to pave the road for success, where you don't have to go through a migration. You don't have to wait for a year for this feature to be developed to be regulatory compliant. We already have these things under the hood, and it's in the engine. It's just, we need to understand what are the rules and regulations, and we're very collaborative with the regulators across the U.S. We have a wonderful compliance manager who her previous life, she has she's on a first name basis, and picks up the phone call in any new jurisdiction that we're going into, and it's like, oh my goodness, how have you been? So having those relationships and then being able to transition that to the platform is going to set up not only FSB but our operators up for success.
I think it's going to be really interesting. Like, with a lot of states, at least, it's a lot more proactive than reactive at the moment, which is great to see. But obviously, like, during these next 5 years, as we're seeing these changes, what can we see from FSB in these times?
I think as over the next 5 years, our number one priority is to be a tier 1 supplier for tier 1 operators who are going into multiple states. Where there's, in the United States, there's 50 different jurisdictions, right? There's 50 different regulatory agencies, so that it's a major lift, but it's something that we've obviously demonstrated the expertise and the credibility to do so. And I think what we're really anticipating, and what we feel very strongly will be a reality very shortly, is that we will be one of the premier providers in the United States and the rest of the world on the basis of who we provide for and the level of respect that those operators are given in the industry.
Yeah, it's a very small space. People talk. We're going to be live with some great operators here in the coming weeks and months. I want the product to speak for itself. I think one of Mike and I's goal is, when we do bring customers on, the true proof is going to be when it comes up for renewal time. And it's a no-brainer. It's like, where do we sign? Like, things are running amazing. We have great account management. You have great SLA. We have uptime. There's no gripes or anything. And they're not looking for that, to switch platforms again, because it's not an easy process.
There was an operator that we're fulfilling in outside of the U.S. that I was talking to, and I was just asking about his feedback from his experience using. He's been operating on the FSB platform for a decent amount of time, and I said, give me your opinions. I wanna know what you're happy with, what you're unhappy with, and he had nothing but good things to say. And I said, well, you got to give me some negative. You got to give me something. Give me the goods here. And he says, honestly, the biggest problem that I have with the FSB platform right now is that I have too much time, so now I have to do more chores at home. That's word for word what he told me, and I said, all right, I'll take that. I was looking for something a little bit more constructive, but that's a great line right there, and I'm absolutely going to use that moving forward.
I think you should have that on your website or something. That's fantastic.
I know, right? That's got to become the new tagline.
That's absolutely genius. I love that. But yeah, that wraps up the questions I have for you. Is there anything that you'd like to add or let's reiterate?
I think, looking forward to seeing everybody at SBC in New Jersey in July. I think, we have, some great things to display there. Stop by the booth, say hello. We'll have some of the senior management team from the UK and rest of the world in town. And just really excited to see everybody again.
Yeah, I mean, SBC is always, something that I really look forward to just because of the focus that all of the attendees have on, on our industry. And it's one of those opportunities where everybody who's walking in the door wants to talk to everybody, and there's always business to be done, on a major level, on a minor level. It is really something that we as a company and me personally really look forward to every year. So we're excited to be there in a little over a month.
Thank you so much. Thank you.